Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Okay, hello everyone. I am here to talk about DevOps. So let me just turn this down a little bit. Where did you go? Right, so I don't have a really big agenda for today. I would hope that we'll have some people join and I can talk about some DevOps topics with them. First, I guess I can go through who I am and my experience. I'm currently a senior DevOps engineer. Previously, I was a CTO and co-founder of a startup. For about 3 years, I was a senior site reliability engineer or SRE at Symantec in Ireland. I have been in IT software development for over 20 years. I just have always been interested in IT and DevOps before it was called DevOps, sysadmin. Been using Linux since 96, I think. Yeah, so that's my current experience. Oh, and also I was a part-time lecturer teaching cloud-based web applications. So that's developing API in Nodejs for a college in Ireland. I guess one thing that I was thinking I could do was to talk through some of look at what has been delivered the last couple of weeks in the DevOps Weekly newsletter. I think that's a great newsletter to stay up to date. So just looking through what's there and see if we can learn something together about what it is. Not what it is. It's a newsletter. There's not much to learn there. But what is being discussed in that newsletter. Oh, let's see. Righto. So what do we have? Remote run support for Terra Grunt workflows. Right, Terra Grunt. Terra Grunt looks interesting. I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but it is a wrapper for Terraform. So instead of writing Terraform by hand, you write the HCL that Terra Grunt will process for you. It's a screen there beside me that's distracting. And looking for an example here. Yes, so those are just the hooks. Let's look at a default, or not a default, yeah, getting started. Let's look at a getting started. Quick start install. So the variables don't look that much different than typical Terraform. If you're not aware, Terraform is used to spin up infrastructure. So that's how you keep your infrastructure as code. So you can basically write configurations that define what your infrastructure should be and how it should be configured, and then it will be executed and create that infrastructure for you. Meaning that should something go wrong, you theoretically should be able to just reapply your Terraform, and that will give you the exact same infrastructure you had before. So just looking through the Terra Grunt, see, I wonder if there's a good side-by-side comparison. I need to move the screen here. Okay. Let's see. So I've heard really good things about Terra Grunt, but I have not used it myself, and I'm still trying to understand how much benefit you get from it, and I haven't seen a really good description to put in front of myself or anyone else. I suppose it's one of those things that maybe if you actually try to implement it, that you then learn that what the real benefits are. I think there's some cascading that happens that makes it easier to deal with the configuration language, but I've yet to see something just clearly laid out right in front of me. And I mean, you know, when you're constantly needing to learn new tools, which is great because it shouldn't be in DevOps if you're not into learning new stuff, because there's always something new. Though the new thing often looks an awful lot like an old thing. You know, shell scripts were the original way to achieve a lot of what you get from things like Ansible, or if people are still using Puppet and Chef. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing anything of real value there about it, but I mean, to describe why one would want to use Terra Grunt. But let's see what env0. Oops. Okay, so env0 is, well, let's see why env0. So it's a remote run workflows. Okay, so I guess it is like Terra World? No, that's not right. Terraform Cloud? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Terraform Cloud. So it's like Terraform Cloud, except it can run Terra Grunt. Okay. So if you use Terra Grunt, env0, I don't know if that's how they pronounce it. Invo, maybe. That's all I see is just don't repeat yourself, which one can mostly agree with. Just still looking for getting started with Terra Grunt, but forget it. Moving on. So in the news, SLOs and any sort of change generally needs management buy-in. This post is a good example of how one team went about selling SLOs. So we are talking about service level objectives, I believe. Let's have a look. Those. Yeah, service level objectives. So yeah, quantitative indicator determining how well the service is behaving. So that's the difference between the indicators, the SLIs, and the objectives, the SLOs, and the agreements, SLAs. So from this author's perspective, okay, that it's more business centric. So it's the objective as opposed to the indicator. So I suppose that could be described as the difference between test-driven development and behavior-driven development. Defining things in business terms for their objective as opposed to defining them via the technical language. At least that's what I believe that is describing. I wonder if we can get just a just seeing if there was any initial. Yeah, here we go. So improves reliability, controlling risk, and increasing iteration speed. Okay, that's sure. So aspects are only achievable if we have an accurate way to measure our services. This is best accomplished by defining and capturing service level objectives. Yeah, so don't really see a whole lot necessarily there with a quick overview. Would need a more in-depth review to get a better understanding. WebAssembly. I'm torn on WebAssembly. It seems interesting, but only if you are actually compiling something specific with a lower level language, like C++. So games, that seems to make a load of sense, right? I think I've seen Doom in a browser because of WebAssembly. But for the majority of development, it seems more like a pipe dream that it will be something amazing. So far, I have not seen a reason that I or anyone I know would really use it in production. I'd love to hear a different opinion. So just wondering if there's anything. Let's talk about what it is. How they did it. I'm just looking for the outcome. Yeah, looks like somebody wanted to play with WebAssembly. They wrote a blog post to get value from it, which that's fine. I've done the same in the past, but I don't see anything that makes me think I would want to know more about it yet. Like if somebody's got a really good, here's why we used it, here's the benefits, I'd love to see that, but I have not seen anything like that so far. Moving away from microservices, merging back into a monolithic application. That I'm not surprised. When I first heard about microservices, loved them. Then tried to build an application, microservices first with a small team, fell apart. That seems to be the norm. People find out about microservices. They're like, oh, this is great. We'll just make everything a different service and then we can make it less dependent upon each other. But then what happens is you take latency and dependencies and time that you think you're saving by being able to deploy different bits as you wish, to add that massive amount of complexity in the connecting goo. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are seeing the same things, that yes, that's it right there. Microservices solve both technical and people problems. So if you don't have the people problems, as in having loads of developers, so the more developers you have on monolithic application, the more trouble you're going to have. Not because of the developers themselves, but because there is complexity caused with the interdependence between any of the developers, and that slows development. So if you are able to split that into, not even really calling them microservices, but just services that a user on a developer or a small development team can ship quickly, then you can increase the amount of throughput by those teams and team members. You have overhead of the connective tissue between the different microservices. When you've got a handful of services, so it's called SOA, really, service-oriented architecture, not Sons of Anarchy. Service-oriented architecture. Yeah. Well, I don't really like those diagrams. I was hoping to see a just trying to do it without drawing one. I mean, it's just slightly more complicated than I mean, I guess it's not that much different than there's a typical one, I suppose. You've got, well, I don't really like that one either. Yeah, that's... yeah. Goodness, I mean, it seems weird that... yeah, there we go. So you've just got consumers that send requests to a service provider. So like that could be a single page web application that connects to an API. And then maybe you've got one or two services there that API connects to, and those APIs have their own backend database. This helps with preventing to deploy the entire stack of a monolith, but only the required elements. So, you know, instead of splitting things out ridiculously small, say in the case of a bookstore, instead of having a books service, an author's service, a user's service, a customer's service, which those I think get closer. Those might be some separation may make sense. So for instance, say your users are also not just part of an online store, but part of payroll that you've built, then perhaps having a user service, which is more closely like an employee service. Maybe that makes sense. Keeping the authors and the books within the same service available via an API probably would make more sense here, unless you are a service for authors that does more than just allows the bookstore to function. So it's the whole art of where you split things apart, I suppose. But in general, you don't move faster with microservices in the beginning. So the only way I've ever seen anybody happy with their microservices has been when they start with the thought that things will be split apart by some logical delineation and build it out that way. And as they need to, already having those pieces broken apart, even if they're within the same application, same monolith, then they can separate that out as a separate service. And I guess it's really just only breaking it out into the microservice when it truly makes sense and not before. That's what I've seen anyway. Let's see. A good architecture post on building a real-time platform API, moving from polling to GRPC based bidirectional streaming. It's interesting. I've been talking with a coworker about the differences between having your backends, your services running over gRPC as opposed to REST. We haven't gone too far in depth in that, but I think I'd really like to get him. He and I have talked about streaming a few things before. I'd really like to do that because he's got strong opinions on most things, but in particular, this is an area where I'd really like to see his thoughts. He's worked in financial services in the past, and I think that may be partially where that comes from because of the what do you call it? The types of interactions within the backends of those application stacks as different to how a number of web-based APIs, just general web-based APIs, would interact. So might need to see some kind of benchmarking set against that too. But I'd like to see the logic faults, the logic points behind it. So just looking through this, the Uber's real-time push platform. So this is talking about the GRPC versus polling. So the mobile apps were polling their APIs. Sure, that makes sense why that would be inefficient. Real-time asynchronous messaging network. Okay, I think I've seen quite a lot of interest anyway in using MQTT. That's the IoT. Right, so it's very low level. It doesn't actually transmit the entirety of messages, but it sends small amounts of small packets. And then when a specific packet is received, then it makes an actual full-on request. That seems very efficient based on data and battery usage on mobile devices. And also because most major cloud providers have some sort of IoT offering that is a really good way to not have to support that infrastructure yourself. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. Do they have anything of real interest here? Ooh. Come back here, microphone. Yeah, so ramen. It just seems silly. I guess somebody thought it was funny, but I don't know. I was just scrolling back up to see where that was first mentioned. Yeah, so I just wonder if that is a Uber specific thing or if it's a No, that's definitely not where I wanted to go. No, I'm not seeing a lot of. Let's check images. Nope, don't think so. I don't think it is outside of Uber. Yeah, we named the. Oh, if you could read, man. So that is silly. I mean, you got to name stuff something. I guess it's as good a name as any. So I don't see anything that stands out right now without digging really deep into this. But trying to find efficient ways to communicate with mobile devices is a very important aspect of building mobile apps. You got to think about the user's battery, the user's data usage, and the speed that it takes to fulfill whatever requests are being sent and received. GitOps practices, improving the security characteristics of your deployment pipeline. Let's see what we got here. Config as code, using Git to manage YAML files. With access policies declared in a config file. Okay. I was just thinking about how I think most people prefer, where possible, to have the config as part of the environment, but it does need to live somewhere on disk to be deployed. I don't know if this might be somewhat different than what I was initially thinking, as in the runtime environment configs. Let's see, changes are auditable. Well, that's, yes, that is one thing. Receiving the config from the environment is potentially less. Although I guess if your environment is actually part of the part of your Git branch that you're deploying from or with, that's okay. But I mean, you still have, well, I guess if you put your secrets somewhere else, I mean, I guess some things have to kind of be, well, they don't have to be, but some things should be part of your code, but some things should not. A real controversial statement there, isn't it? Production meshes, desired state kept in Git. Yes, that is good. Continuous security testing. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if there wasn't a ton of detail in there to look through, but let's see. Most Docker files are simple, but it's possible to solve more complex problems too. Cross compilation patterns for expensive compilation targets. Oh, let's have a look at this. QT. Let's see. Do we have I mean, is this like the have a look at this. So there's the Qt environment that is a front end for, well, it originally, to my understanding, started with Linux, like Linux menus and whatnot. But I don't know if we're talking about the same thing here. Okay, one framework, one code base, any platform. Okay, so it's cross compilation. Is that for the All right. So it is a front end thing, but it's not the same of what I was thinking of. So it looks like it's what's part of somewhat embedded devices. Wide range of products, cars, digital signs, airplanes. Okay. So what am I thinking of? UT. Must be thinking of something else. I can't even think of how to search for it right this second. Wait, I know. I have... Nope. Let's see here. Let's fit that. Okay, I can't do that right now. Well, I was thinking. All right, I'm just trying to look up the QT, or what I think was QT. I swear, my mind has just gone completely bull. Not that one. I want to open up. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. Grief, we're not even talking about this. Yeah, no, that's it. Okay, no, I guess it is. Yeah, okay, it's the same QT. Wow. I didn't realize it had moved towards different types of devices away from what I originally knew it for. Multi-platform, multi-stage. Let's see here. Okay. That. Yeah, just some Docker containers stuff. So from with a platform. All right, that's interesting, but not much to see there. Open telemetry. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, open telemetry with the Java agent. Very, very simple application. Web servlet responds to localhost 9000 hello with hello world. Pick an open telemetry backend. Free for life commands. Zipkin or Jaeger. Okay. You can go away. Those things are so annoying. The web is broken now. It's all the cookie notices, the inability to access US-based website, a lot of US-based websites from outside the US. The number of things that get in the way of accessing the content that you came for. So frustrating that I don't know how many times a day I just give up and leave a website without even trying to look. It's that link. Yeah, okay. Light step. Oh, stop it. All right. Could be interesting. I don't know, so I'm not sure exactly who they're competing with. I mean, I assume it's the gone blank. Not telemetry applications, that's not the right word. Miniature thing. I swear the number of things that have just blown right out of my head today. Insane. Jeez. What are we talking about? I mean, there's one specific one, and anybody who's watching this is probably yelling at their screen right now. I know I would be, because as soon as I see it, it's... on. Seriously, driving me crazy. I know as soon as I get off of the stream, it'll pop right into my head. Oh well. Let's see what else we have. Some tools. Monitoring tools for Kubernetes. Set up a full stack with Prometheus, Grafana, scale, Problems, and more with Helm or a custom CLI. Okay, let's have a look. What do they have? TOBS, the observability stack. Okay, make it easy to add those. So install it with a script. All right. Oh, so you install TOBS and then TOBS install. Okay. And then TOBS Grafana. Alrighty. Any examples in the docs? Any docs? CLI usage. I mean, I guess it's just going to create and forward those into whatever Kubernetes cluster you have to monitor your Kubernetes. That could be really interesting, I suppose. I mean, typical tools that one would use, maybe not 100% of them. I've not heard of PromScale. Oh, I guess Prometheus Scaler. Yeah, okay. All right. Nice that, I mean, it's better to have some tool to spin all that up for you instead of adding it to your backlog of, one day I'll get to it. Thinger open source toolkit for ETL. ETL being extract, transform, and load. So moving lots of data from one place to another, changing it in the middle. Let's see what we got here. It's So this is all of open source toolkit. So getting started to Singer. Okay. How about, what does it look like? How's it work? Running and developing. Yeah, no. I have to go too deep into that one. Syncing dashboards between Grafana installs. That's cool. But yeah, so definitely recommend anyone interested in DevOps getting on the DevOps Weekly email address. Oh, look, sponsored by Envo, ENV0. Don't know how they're naming it. What's the pricing on this? Small, 10 environments. Okay, what's free? Unlimited concurrent runs, up to 5 users, 3 active environments. Wow. For new infrastructures, that's pretty good. I mean, you could run your dev, test, and prod, or test, stage, and prod, depending on how you want to do that. It could be extremely interesting. Let's see. How long have we been going? Oh, 50 minutes already. All right, well, I only had about an hour today. Let's see what happens next time. Really would love to switch back over here. Really would love to actually get to talk to someone. I'm so lonely. No, but to see what people are interested in and talk through them. I mean, you know, I don't know everything, but I've been doing this for a long time, so I love talking about new stuff, especially seeing how it compares to existing solutions and what we might do to better understand it. So if you're into that, this would be a good place. Anyway, happy coding and deving and opsing and DevOpsing. Talk to you next time.